Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops and the miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starved amidst the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies multiplied 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth the new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Wonderful journalist. She's a wonderful writer. I knew her as a travel agent, and we're so proud of Betty. And Betty has a birthday this week. So the Raging Grannies have a cake and some ice cream that they are now breaking out, and that is going to be at the dessert table back there. And they brought enough for everyone if you like. So let's sing Happy Birthday to Betty. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Betty. Happy birthday to you. Okay, thanks very much.
She's allowed to have
Sector 3 is the big one.
the Steelworkers USW headquarters, like store for employees.
In the 80s, we organized unemployed people across first the Mon Valley and then across the state, across the region, and we've been around for 40 years. Organized unemployed people. We've been very popular for the last 3 years with the pandemic and 7.1 million people trying to get unemployment in Pennsylvania, and the system was broken. So we're still going to the streets and fighting for unemployed people.
Pennsylvania is one of the biggest carbon emitters, so if we're going to solve or at least mitigate climate change, we need to work on it here. And today we were out with the Wabtec workers on strike, and one of the things they're striking for, as well as a fair contract and all the usual things, is bringing in green jobs, because there's a thing called the Green Locomotive Project, and the workers are enthusiastic about that, but the company is trying to look the other way. So.
Okay, where did you get these T-shirts?
Our history club sold them as fundraisers for years.
Oh.
Yeah. Now they're in my basement.
I love them.
So I
We are very fortunate tonight to have with us County Councilwoman Anita Prizio. Anita is here. Last year, on the anniversary of the Battle of Homestead, there was a proclamation passed by the county council. And that proclamation was such a good one that we want to have it and have it read again today. Let me just say that you are in the pump house, the only remaining original structure from Homestead in 1892, the only remaining of a 7-mile-long complex that was here, that made steel that built the world, frankly, the modern world, here in Homestead. This pump house is sacred ground. This is the site of the battle. The barges landed right outside here, and the Pinkertons were repelled by thousands of townspeople and workers who turned out to say, these are our jobs, you're not going to take them. We helped Frick and Carnegie make a profit. He owes us our jobs. We're going to talk some more about this, a little bit about the meaning of the battle, not so much about the events of the battle, but the meaning of the battle for us today. But what's wonderful about the County Council proclamation, as it very succinctly sums up why the Battle of Homestead is important to us today. So let me now introduce Anita Prizio, and thank you so much, Anita, for being a voice of the people.
Good evening, everyone. As John said, my name is Anita Prizio, and not only am I a member of Allegheny County Council, but I'm a member of USW Local 3403. I stand in solidarity with the striking UE workers, the union employees at the Post-Gazette, and my Starbucks comrades. I'm honored to read this proclamation that was presented last year at the Battle of Homestead's 130th anniversary. Although the Homestead strike ended well over a century ago, its lessons remain relevant today. Workers' rights are human rights. And here I go with the proclamation. Whereas the Homestead Steel Strike, including the July 6, 1892 battle at the historic pump house here in Munhall, is arguably the most famous and consequential struggle in American labor history, and whereas 3,000 workers working under a union contract from 1889 to 1892 helped build and then operate what was among the most productive and revolutionary steel mills in the world, combining both Bessemer and open-heart technologies. And whereas in Homestead, a town founded in 1881 to serve the needs of a rapidly expanding steel industry, several thousand townspeople and workers asserted a certain property right to their jobs and took up arms in defense of their employment. And whereas the force of 300 Pinkerton agents armed with Winchester repeating rifles, hired by Henry Clay Frick to assert the property rights of Carnegie Steel, failed in their attempt to land on the banks of the Monongahela. And following a gun battle where 7 workers and 3 Pinkerton agents were killed, they surrendered to the union and the town leaders. Whereas under the union contract, workers had a strong voice on the job, a negotiated share of productivity and profit, hours that were determined by work function and negotiations, Sunday and holidays off, as well as control over the political life of the town through free elections. And whereas following the breaking of the union, the lower half of the workforce worked from 72 to 84 hours a week with drastically reduced pay, a swing shift, and was also imposed on several workers from the political life of the town, with many subjected to the brutal long term, a 24-hour shift every other week, as time off for weekends and holidays was virtually abolished. And whereas the 1892 establish the dominance of the American system of employment at will, where both collective and individual rights of workers were completely subjugated to the will of corporate power and private ownership. No power to bargain, negotiate, or even speak until the United Steelworkers gave the contract 45 years later in 1937. Now therefore we resolve that we, Anita Prizio, Paul Klein, and all members of council here do recognize July 6, 2023 as the 131st anniversary of the Battle of Homestead and encourage citizens to discuss the importance of organized labor in reducing extreme economic inequality, to think about society's need for worker skills, intelligence, and participation, to achieve substantial and useful employment, and to understand the centrality of both speech and concerted activity to rebuild productivity and healthy communities. Thank you.
Before Anita goes, I just want to recognize County Council. We now have County Council passing a veto from the County Executive for sick time, for a raised minimum wage now for county workers, and several other important issues that have been dealt with by County Council. They're helping to lead the way forward to progressive southwestern Pennsylvania, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. How many steel workers do we have with us that have been? All right, welcome aboard. And we're going to hear from a number of them. I failed to mention our friend Tammy Hepps is here. Tammy, a wonderful historian and chronicler of Homestead, and particularly able to talk about Homestead, what it was like for Jews to come to Homestead and to live and to work, and how did the Battle of Homestead and the building of the mill affect all communities in Homestead. And there's nobody that can do that kind of study like Tammy does. We're so happy that she's here with us today. Thank you. So I'm going to call on our past president, one of the founders of the Battle of Homestead, Charlie McCollester. Charlie is a PhD philosopher and a certified machinist, and together it makes for a very interesting combination. And historian and Charlie, welcome aboard.
Yeah, that proclamation was very familiar, but I'm going to repeat a little bit of it. But the over 31 years we've been meeting here to commemorate the battle. It was a very dramatic event. The gunmetal, the beating up of the Pinkertons by the women and children in the gauntlet, the dramatic burials that touched the whole town. Every ethnic group was represented at graveyards. And that, then of course you got the Carnegie and Frick, and the whole story of their hatred for each other ultimately, and the damage they did to American industry at the Battle of Homestead. And that's my point to talk today. Not about the battle, which everybody knows something about, but about what happened in the 3 years preceding, and then what happened in the 45 years that came afterward. And in the 3 years preceding the Battle of Homestead, there was a union contract. In 1889 to 1892, the Union, the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel, the membership was about 800 out of 3,500. They were the highly skilled workers. However, they reached out before the strike and formed a lodge of the Slavic labor workers in the plant. The workers were united around their fear and their knowledge of what Henry Clay Frick had done in the coke fields, busting the Union, the Morewood Massacre, the Mammoth mine explosion happened the year before. So there was an amazing amount of unity between the people in the mill who were highly skilled and the people who were the laboring class, largely Slavic workers. The Workers' Republic, the 3 years of worker control, is extremely important. It opened a window of possibility, a dream that I think is still very relevant today. First of all, they had a voice in production. On the shop floor, what drove Frick absolutely nuts was that every time he moved to put something new in or some innovation, there was a busybody committee of the amalgamated asking him what he was doing, who was going to be hired, how they were going to be paid, what the health safety things, and maybe some suggestions about if you put it this way, it might work better. This drove Frick absolutely nuts. He believed totally in the control by management and by capital. The second thing was the pay. The pay was extremely good. It was still linked for the tonnage men, as they call them, to productivity. In the iron industry, men were paid by what they produced. The amount of metal you put on the ground was then divided up by union principles. The iron industry was virtually 80% union, and it was said that not a wheel turned or a fire burned from Maine to Texas without an amalgamated union man there in the iron industry. Whole Civil War fought with iron was done by small batch, 100 pound at a time, teams of workers making iron. Hours of work before the Workers' Republic, some worked maybe as many as 65 hours or 60 hours, all straight shift. They all had Sunday off under the union, except for those who had to tend furnaces. Other than that, the hours of work were relatively reasonable in that era. Second thing, or another thing, was the community. The workers controlled the community. All but one of the members of the city council, or the Berkeley council, was a union person. The mayor was honest John McCollester, the most articulate critic of Andrew Carnegie and Henry Clay Frick. And so the town was run by the people who lived there. And they had a very progressive regime. And finally, there was a lot of ethnic solidarity, as I said, between the Slavic workers who were coming in and the mostly Irish, Welsh, English workers that were in the higher levels. After Homestead, 1892 to 1937, the picture is radically, radically different. Instead of having a possible dream of a negotiated way where workers really had some power and a place at the table, what you had was corporate dictatorship. First of all, the hours of work, 84 hours a week, 12 hours times 7. Not only that, the worst part of that was with electrification of the mills, which came in the 1890s, mid-1890s. Across, we had George Westinghouse in the Electric Valley. Alternating current made it possible to work everybody 24 hours, 7 days a week. And it was 2 shifts. So you worked 84 hours, but the worst part of it was you had to swing. You had to go from day turn to night turn, which meant every other week you worked 24-hour to long term. But the real reason for it, there's really, I've given speeches for all kinds of audiences, and nobody's ever challenged me. The only reason for it was to deprive the workers in the mill of their political rights, to take away their involvement, their participation in the community. You could not be a full member of that civic entity if you were working and have every week having to go back and forth between a totally different time. The central issue at Homestead was the absolute employment at will. That you can be fired for good reason, bad reason, or no reason. That's America. Other than if you're a protected class or specific type of injury, you have no protection in America. And unlike most civilized countries, have some sort of labor law and labor appeals court when workers' rights are violated. In this country, absolute employment at will is a central issue at Homestead. The suppression of democratic participation, people couldn't be involved in the community. It led, the most obvious thing was extreme inequality of wealth and of sacrifice. The workers had brutal existences and paid terrific price physically in their own life, in their schools, in their community. And Carnegie they did the top 20 most wealthy Americans ever. There were 2 Mellons on that list. There was Andrew Carnegie and Henry Clay Frick. 4 out of the top 20 richest people in America. I guess Elon Muskrat might be a little bit ahead of us. So this second period, which ends in 1937, with the Steelworkers Organizing Committee in 1937, what it gives to the workers is citizenship. You can't be fired for no reason. Employment at will is done. Hours are shortened and regulated. Safety is involvement of the workers at the shop floor level in things like health and safety issues is affirmed. And there's organization. There's a negotiated contract. Workers have rights. However, they never have the rights that they had for that period of the Workers' Republic in terms of their constant intervention on the shop floor. 1959 steel strike was fought primarily over the issue of shop floor control and the right of workers to contest management decisions if they weren't based on a technological improvement. Workers could resist and fight changes in the workplace under the union contract. This set the stage for the 1397 rank and file in 1978, which becomes a powerful force and begins to do what was done before the Homestead strike begins to assert worker power on the shop floor, and also, very importantly, to question the right of corporations to close down factories and move out of the area, the attempt to form a Steel Valley Authority, which we have a wonderful employee of, a Steel Valley Authority with the right of eminent domain to take properties that were being abandoned by capitalism and to try to do something constructive with them. That fight went on in the Mon Valley fiercely, and it was the right fight. And we look at what has happened to this country today in supply chains and lack of manufacturing, and that was a fight that was terrible loss, and only generations have shown how terrible a loss it was. Along with Ronnie Weeson and Mike Stout and Michelle McMills and others, they built a great union, but there was also a movement, the Mon Valley Insurgency, Bill Sarin called it, and it formed the Steel Valley Authority and tried to question the direction of economic development itself. And that is the absolute need in the future. there's anything that comes out of this, and it's so many of us have struggled with, we need an entirely new order. The gap between rich and poor is so outrageous, it distorts everything. We need a system that is cognizant at every step of the environment, the absolute necessity to restore and renew, and we need participation. We need democracy from below and not dictatorship from above. So that's the future, that's what we need. And
we did not mention that we haven't really talked about was in 1892, something like 7 or 8 days after the battle here on the 6th, the entire National Guard of the state of Pennsylvania was ordered in by the Republican governor of Pennsylvania, Robert Patterson. And 7,000 troops came, armed, camped out on the hill that looked down on the mill, and the mill had a wall built around it at the beginning of contract negotiations, a 10-foot high wall, and totally encompassing the mill. And the soldiers were instructed to permit strikebreakers that had been imported by Frick to come and work. The soldiers assured the strikebreakers and ensured that the strike would be lost by permitting the strikebreakers to come and work in the mill. Thus we see that governmental action can help or hinder the work of labor unions and labor justice. And unfortunately, we have a pretty speckled history about that, even today, about what role the constabulary, the armed peacekeepers can play, and do often play, in the service of the employers and the corporate planners. So remember that while the Battle of Homestead gave us some fleeting glimpses of the power that we have as people, the military power that was presented against us made it impossible for that spirit to be able to continue. So I'm going to, I know we're about ready to have a lot of music tonight, and I do want to recognize another one of our members that's here who spoke today at the rally. She is a wonderful person and a true prophet to discuss how labor and environmentalists can team together to get us to where we need to go. And I want to just call on Patty DeMarco to talk a little bit about the speech she gave today at the rally.
Hey everybody, I'm going to keep this really short because I know it's really hot here, but first of all, I am really proud to have been asked to speak at the WABTEC 1,400 workers out on strike for a fair contract and good wages, good working conditions, and their Green Locomotive project. This is a vision that was put forward by the workers, which the company has rejected. Now, what we have here is a company, WABTEC, where the CEO received an $11 million compensation. That would be enough to give 150 employees their earnings for a year. In 1965, the ratio of corporate executive to worker salary was 15:1. Today, Mr. Raphael Santana's salary is about 200:1 for his employees in Harrison. I contend that those workers are not worth 200 less than their executive. He doesn't have that much more to give to it. He went to the stockholders and he told them they were going to do a $750 million share buyback. And he was roasting that in quarter 4 of 2022, they were $2.31 billion to the good, and that each, from the operating costs, they had $140 million in spare cash. Now, he praised the highly skilled workers for that kind of productivity, but does he include even cost of living increases in the wage increase? No. Did he include covering benefits for the workers that they're asking for in their contract? No. They don't even heat the plant in Erie in the wintertime. These people have plenty of money to do the things the workers are asking for. But most important is that the workers are putting forth a concept for transforming the transportation system into a new green economy. They have the vision to know that those old diesel vehicles that are smoking up the air, making the rail yards a toxic workplace and a toxic neighbor, are a thing of the past. They know that they have technology right now in the plant that they can scale up to produce electric locomotives to transform our transportation system, which is one of the largest contributors to the greenhouse gas emissions. Anybody who drives on the highway knows that. They have the wherewithal that we can reach zero emissions from transportation by 2050 by electrifying our transportation system and using rail for freight and passengers as a large part of that solution. So here we have the workers putting forth a vision for the future that will be better for the environment, better for their families, better for their workplace, and assured a future for a company that is in the 21st century, not based on keeping up with the backlog and relying on the ways of the past. So what we need to do is to look at how we can support these people as they are creating this vision, carrying it forward. We have to make sure that they have the support they need to go one more day, every day, until WAPTEC comes to the table. We need to support them when we're looking at changing the laws down in the EPA so that we require higher standards for the transportation sector so that we have a motivation for companies to make clean electric vehicles on all scale. So, I'm not going to give you all the rest of this speech, but you can read it on my blog, and thank you all for coming here today.
It's time to make a joyful noise, and with us tonight, the Labor Choir and the May Day Marching Band. They would really like to perform outside, and so they will be. You're welcome to go on out and maybe bring a chair if you want and hear them.
marching band. And, you know, just to say a few words maybe to link it directly, Battle of Homestead, the anniversary, the heritage of it all, and, you know, words of course were said of the legacy, especially of, I mean, what went down around here, especially the government of the United States having this choice in 1892. Are you going to back up working people, regular people, or are you going to back up business and corporations and money? And the government chose business, you know, and they've continued to do it time and time again for 131 years. And I put a lot of time thinking, and I have, on what to do. Because the answer isn't violence, you know, and for many moral reasons, but also for a very pragmatic reason of you just cannot, you can't fight against the arsenal of the federal government. So as I began to think more and more about this, and just given me and who I am, sharing an enthusiasm and having like some kind of positive thrust for, I don't know, a vision of a future that's fun and entertaining and just enjoyable. And as I looked around more and more, especially in Pittsburgh, I found these guys. And so they mean a lot to me, and really feel that in ways both small and large, that the May Day Marching Band does a lot. So anyway, this is going to be Moliendo Cafe, this final song. Yeah, also, if this seems fun, you can like play with us. You know, all skills.
You don't have to know an instrument or even own an instrument. We'll give you an instrument.
too, okay?
Right.
And there's going to be some that we're going to struggle to sing along to because we're doing a couple of songs from 1892. So wish us luck on those. They have a lot of words. But yeah, we're going to start with one that is known to many. Power in a Union. Right?
Yeah. Okay. How about one?
Hey, we did an A earlier. We did an A.
Okay.
Any, yeah. It's only so many keys. An A.
13 to be.
Yeah.
Or 12.
Yeah. Okay.
3 sharp?
3 sharps. 3 and up for sharp. So yeah, this one we can do a little faster than the other one.
And some people practiced it up today, this afternoon, on the north side of Waptec.
Most of these, the recent ones we did at the UE rally just a couple hours ago. So everybody was singing along there too. So here's how this one goes. There is power in a band of working folks. When we stand, got it hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. You know it now? Can you do that chorus one more time, really lock it in? We'll do the whole song. All right. 1, 2, 3. There is power in a band of working folks. When we stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. If you want freedom from wage slavery, then come join the grand industrial land. If you from misery and hunger be free, come on, do your share, lend a hand. No, there is power in a band of working folks. When we stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. How about mansions of gold that they promise you in the sky? Well, would you have mansions of gold in the sky, but live in a shack where it's way in the back? Would you have wings up in heaven to fly, but starve here with rags on your back? Or there is power in a band of working folks. When we stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. How about the sluggers that beat on your head? 2, 3. Well, if you like sluggers to beat on your head, then don't organize. All unions despise. If you want nothing before you are dead, shake hands with your boss and look wise. But there's power in a band of working folk. When we stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. Now come on, all you workers. Come all you workers from every land, and come join the grand industrial land. Then we our share of this earth shall demand. Come on, do your share, lend a hand. 'Cause there is power in the band of working folk. When we stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. There is power in a band of working folk. When we stand hand in hand. That's a power that must rule in every land. One industrial union grand. Okay. Now prepare for a treat or something, or medicine or something.
This is the castor oil.
Yeah, this is the one where, we saw, the lyrics are on display on an ancient yellowed piece of paper in there, and we had to look up what the tune was, so prepare yourself for this. Da, 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 da. Okay, real slow, everybody take it real slow.
2, 3. Say, comrades, did you hear about the towboat Little Bill that caused so much excitement at Carnegie's Homestead Mill? With model barges well equipped, Bill Rogers, sly and slick, took pinkers and assassins there employed by H.C. Frick. The 6th of July, 92, at just the dawn of day, the pinkers and marauders tried to land at Fort Frick Bay. 'Twas then they met their Waterloo from Vulcan's brawny sons, repulsed their every movement and silenced all their guns. Some weeks before this tragic act, Carnegie went away to see a bank so bonny Dune that Frick might have his say. 'Twas then he wired to Pinkers, and I want 800 strong. 1 beaver day shall be the pay, so bring your thugs along. 2, 1. That's the first verse. He sat at Homestead to investigate the cause of H.C. Frick's tenacity on sumptuary laws. When asked to state the cost per ton of billets 4x4, had he been in a swearing room, I fancy he'd have swore. So Hugh O'Donnell, as the leader placed upon the stand, describe what you were doing when the vultures tried to land. I risked my life in treating men, for God's sake not to shoot, and for my pains my loved one I was stigmatized a loot. McLucky as a witness proved that he'd been through the mill, and gave some sturdy pointers on the famed McKinley bill. He boldly intimated that where benefits accrue, they are not for the masses but the highly favored few. Just one more verse. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Judge Ewing was appointed to see justice hold the sway, and filled the mill admirably in an autocratic way. Construe the law to meet his views, he'll very seldom fail. Officials trot around at large, the workers go to jail. Frick's mode of action seems to say, I feel inclined to brag. I'll bust the amalgamation, now bring out the pirate's flag. The skull and crossbones now displayed to let the public know. The Union men have had their day, I'll give the scabs a show. The scabs, they are a filthy set, I can discriminate. And though I ain't allowed to bet, I'll confidently state that with your shoulders to the wheel, they can't spoil Homestead mats. They'll seek congenial quarters where they're not so rough on rats. That was a work of archival stuff. Now the other one from 1892 is one you might know, and you're going to know the chorus to it by the time we're done. Anyway. And G. And G. One shot. Yeah, one shot. Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah, all right. Historical song. Okay. Start with the chorus. Yep. Yeah, start with the chorus. All right. Yeah, we don't need to be fast. So you'll get the chorus by the end. If you don't already know it. Yeah. Now the man that fights for honor, none can blame him. May luck attend wherever he may roam, and no son of his will ever live to shame him. Whilst liberty and honor rule our home. Alright, you got it? Alright, from the verses then. We're asking one another as we pass the time of day, why working men resort to arms to get their proper pay, and why our labor unions, they must not be recognized, while the actions of a syndicate must not be criticized. The troubles out at Homestead were brought about this way, when a grasping corporation had the audacity to say, must merry band of working men start out at break of day. Determination in their face which plainly meant to say, no one can come and take our homes for which we have toiled so long. No one can come and take our place, it's here that we belong. A woman with a rifle saw her husband in the crowd. She handed him the weapon and they cheered her long and loud. He kissed her and said, Mary, go home until we're through. She answered, no, if you must die, my place is here with you. A man who fights for honor, none can blame him. May luck attend wherever he may roam. And no son of his will ever live to shame him. Whilst liberty and honor rule our home. Our last verse, 1, 2. When the world of tramp detectives came without authority, like thieves at night, while decent men were sleeping peacefully. Can you wonder why honest hearts with indignation burn, and why the word that treads the earth when trod upon will turn? When they locked our men at Homestead till they were face to face, the law among detectives, and they knew it was their place to protect their homes and families, and this was neatly done, and the public will reward them for the victory they won. The man fights for honor, none can blame him. May luck attend wherever he may roam, and no son of his will ever live to shame him. Whilst liberty and honor rule our home. The man who fights for honor, none can blame him. May luck attend wherever he may roam, and no son of his will ever live to shame him. Whilst liberty and honor
Last one we got for you as this choir is Hold the Fort. But like Mayday Band, before we close it, we'll say you can join, okay? If you want to be in a group where we study songs, old and new, make up new songs, adapt them to different struggles, and go to picket lines, go to things of that nature, come on and join. You can talk to anybody here. We can connect you up. All right.
Yeah, we did that today.
We did that today. Yeah, we were just there today.
Yep.
All right.
Here with the UE. All right.
Yeah. A.
Hey.
This one has some good Battle of Homestead.
Yeah.
It's much more recent. No, it's older. British transport workers.
Yeah. Hold the fort. So the text of the chorus: hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side we'll battle onward. Victory will come. A major. A concert. All right. All right, so we can practice the chorus together. One time at the top, then we'll do the verses. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong. Side by side we'll battle onward. Victory will come.
We meet today.
We meet today in freedom's cause and raise our voices high. We'll join our hands in union strong to battle or to die. Hold the fort, for we are coming. Union workers, be strong.
grannies come on at the end, we'll want to join in with you if that's okay. Anyway, that's the choir. You can join.
Grannies, urging you off of your fannies. We're raising our voice. We want a new choice. No more guns. With the hatred and fear they are selling, and racist lies they are telling. The NRA thrives. Can workers survive? No more guns. Whether it's our freedoms or our lives that they may steal, la 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 la. Guns are not the answer. Bullets maim and kill. So join this gaggle of grannies. Get up off of your fannies. We're telling you now, we're angry and how. No more guns.
We really mean it.
No more guns.
We mean precisely.
No more guns.
We're tired of asking nicely.
No more guns.
We are the Raging Grannies, and if you're not a granny and you want to sing with us anyway, you're welcome. So anytime you'd like to join us, just talk to us and we'd be glad to have you join us.
To become a member.
Yes.
America the Beautiful. La 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 la. How beautiful it could have been without unending greed and special interest politics have made our nation bleed. America, America, where is the Bill of Rights? All our dreams have been replaced by rampant corporate might. Inequity, more racism, and rising poverty. For citizens denied the vote, amid widespread discontent. America, America, we're headed the wrong way. With all the poor, let's shout, no more! Sweep hate and greed away.
And you can join the chorus on the next one. You'll know it.
Yeah, she already did. Oh, we worked and we fought for the little bit that's ours, and we ain't gonna give it back. While you ride around in your big ass cars, and we ain't gonna give it back. You take away our bread and butter and you say it's just fine, but we're gonna stand down on the picket line. You've tried it before, but I'll tell you this time, we ain't gonna give it back. Oh no, no, we ain't gonna give it back. No, no, we ain't gonna give it back. Oh no, we ain't gonna give it back. No, no, we ain't gonna give it back. Now you want our wages and our benefits too, but we ain't gonna give it back. It's always less for us and more for you. We ain't gonna give it back. Well, your profits are higher than they've ever been. The economy's a mess, cause you're greedier than sin. You're never gonna care about the shape we're in. So we ain't gonna give it back. No, 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 we ain't gonna give it back. Oh no, we ain't gonna give it back. We ain't gonna give it back. No, we ain't gonna give it back. It's the sweat of the workers that built the company, so you could fill your money sack. And now you want more, while the rest of us are poor, but we ain't gonna give it back. It's the same old story about the rich and the poor. It's mighty plain to see what the union is for. And when we build a better world, we'll stand up and we'll say, we ain't gonna give it back. gonna give it back. No way. We ain't gonna give it back. When inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops and the miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starved amidst the wonders we have made, but the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel will turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies multiplied 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong.
Sing it out.
Solidarity forever.